Welcome to another episode of Think Calgary, and today we're going to talk about the property inspection, the inside scoop of property inspection. And we have a special guest today with us, Joel, with Canadians Residential Inspection Service, Calgary Southwest.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Welcome, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you thank you for coming today. Let's dive in right away.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. No, for sure. Yeah, well, maybe a little intro. I've actually known Joel for quite a long time. I literally remember the open house that he came to to see me. Yeah, it was like we were both right at the very beginning, just getting started out. And he had a really good impression. And I'm like, you know what? I literally have no inspectors that I'm working with mainly at this time. And it kind of started from there. And we've been working together ever since. So I guess it's been how many years together?
Well, I'm full-time since 2009.
9. So that would have been the starting year. So about 16 years, I guess. Crazy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Time flies.
How's the journey has been for you, Joel?
A lot of learning. I'm always learning. Yeah. The journey, when I look back and I think what I knew, the first 5 years of home inspecting compared to what I know now, it's just night and day different.
Yeah, definitely. Even the equipment has changed for inspecting a property over the years, right?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. Some of the equipment's changed, but more so just products in houses and materials in houses has changed and is always changing.
Oh, definitely. So let's dive into why the property inspection is important when buying any house, your first house, your move-up house, investment. It is, I believe it is so your dream home does not turn into your worst nightmare.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Joel, right over here. Why is a home inspection crucial when buying a property?
Well, home inspections, I'm learning about the story of the house. And some houses are freshly renovated and really well renovated. Some houses are freshly renovated and it's just lipstick. It's full of issues, full of problems behind the scenes that you wouldn't normally see visually. It is the biggest investment that most people make in their life. And, having somebody that's quite knowledgeable about all aspects of a house come through and give you a good idea the condition of that house on the day of the inspection, it's quite critical information so you can make an informed decision.
Yeah, I can imagine they do take, people would be taking some pretty big risks if they were to buy a home without a home inspection, because sometimes in those busy markets where there's bidding wars, everybody's just trying to get the home. They're like rolling the dice essentially. Like, maybe they can visually see a few things, but what's going on in the attic, what's going on behind the walls, plumbing, electrical, like all that kind of stuff that they don't know about. Yep. You'd easily be able to point that out.
Any personal horror stories?
Any?
Or many?
Any. Oh, geez. Well, what Dave was saying there, when times get really busy and people are waiving home inspection conditions so they can put in a more appealing offer, more competitive offer, often people will call me after the fact to get an inspection after they already own the house. Probably the one that stands out on top of my mind, this was a older retired couple that actually just moved to Canada. They purchased a home and had me come in when they got possession of the home. I bet there was over $50,000 of repairs needed immediately.
Oh, wow. That's quite a bit.
Every aspect of that house, the house was full of mold.
Oh, geez.
I wouldn't have recommended them buying it at all. Well, we're not technically allowed to recommend or not recommend, but we just tell you how it is. But the big foundation walls were shot. The roofing was shot. The furnace was horrible. Furnace was leaking carbon monoxide. Water
Jeez.
heater needed to be replaced. And there were so many leaks throughout the entire house with mold.
That's crazy.
It was, it was the worst.
Was it like a neglected property or like an old rental?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, sounds like a few of them, like foreclosures or something like just the home hasn't even been used for a while and
Yes.
just that's it. And you go to test the plumbing and boom, there's like leaks everywhere. It's unbelievable.
Walk us down a typical home inspection routine. How long does a property inspector takes to inspect a property?
Yeah. So the average house, about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay.
You know, your average 1,200 square foot finished bungalow, attached or detached garage.
Okay. What are the major red flags?
Well, so when I'm going through a house, I'm basically all the testing that I'm doing is that's my way of asking questions to the house and trying to figure out like what's the story of the house. And red flags are renovations that have been done and very sloppily done. Really makes me know to look deeper into some of the structural issues. Often people take out support posts or supporting walls that they aren't supposed to take out because they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
But aside from structural issues, red flags are messing around with electrical and plumbing that they really don't know what they're doing. Again, hooking things up wrong. Electrical issues can be fire issues. They can be safety issues. The water leaks are probably the most common thing that we find. But water leaks are everywhere. It can be the foundation leaking. It can be leaking around your doors and windows, the siding, the roof. It can be plumbing leaks. So water leaks they can come from many sources, and that would probably be one of our more common.
And I find that most of the houses that I have been a part of in a transaction, the leaks under the sink or toilet leaks or something like that are I think it's due to the negligence of the owners or over the usage of the appliances over time,
I don't know. Me personally, I just find, people just don't stay on top of maintenance of their homes as much as they should.
Right.
That's just a thing. You got families, everybody's so busy. They usually fix it once it's broken or starts leaking or they noticed it's leaking,
Right.
which could be quite a while after the leak's already started.
Yeah, and people do call me up just to, they've lived in the house for 5-10 years and they just want to know like how the house is doing and are there issues that they don't know about that need to be fixed. It is, I can't tell you how common it is that I'll do like a 10-year-old house and it's never been inspected before. And there'll be issues like last one I did, all of the exhaust fan, so the exhaust vents on the side of the house, the exterior of the house, they have backflow flaps. And this was a stucco house. The kitchen, main floor bathroom, dryer, exhaust, all the ones that went through the side of the house, all of those backflow flaps were covered with stucco.
Oh,
So
crazy.
none of them were open. None of them.
Wow.
Even the dryer.
Unbelievable.
Like, how do your clothes even dry? Like, how did you not notice this? But
Jeez.
yeah, you aren't paying attention to those things. And it's
Wow.
homeowners often think that, well, why should I get a home inspection, especially on a new house? Because I'll just notice the issues and I've got a year warranty from the builder. When I see the issues, I'll just have them come in and fix it. And the problem is, unless you know how the systems are supposed to behave and you know how the house is supposed to behave, often you don't even know what the issues are.
Makes
So,
sense.
Are there any things that you cannot check during inspection?
Yeah. Like technically we're supposed to use normal operating controls to test everything in the house. So light switches, taps, doorknobs, windows, like we're not allowed to dismantle any components in the house. we're not allowed to move furniture or appliances. Like, say someone wants to look behind the fridge. If we move that fridge, you can damage the hardwood flooring potentially. You could slightly unplug the fridge. You could maybe kink the water line if there's a water line to the fridge, or damage the water line, causing a leak in the future. Like, there's a lot of limitations we do have.
So you're telling me you cannot punch through a wall and check for molds, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's like mold, sewer lines to check, radon. I don't know. I see some of these other inspectors say that they can do these things, but I know for a fact that you can't test radon in a day or two, because there's like so many cycles when it comes to radon. To truly test it, you got to do like a 90-day cycle on a long-term test, and it makes more sense.
Ideally in the wintertime when the doors and windows are closed more often, so you're not diluting.
You could be
air.
on a super high day or a super low day. Like, it's not going to tell you much of anything, really.
Yeah, so it needs to be a long-term test for radon for sure.
Yeah, right.
And sewer scopes. Sewer scopes they can be invaluable. Incredibly valuable. Your chances of having issues with your sewer in newer houses are much lower, just because everything's newer. But older houses, older than 1980-ish, that 30, 35 years old, the chances of issues goes up quite a bit, partly because of the materials, partly because they've been in the ground that long, that many more years of issues.
Are older homes always riskier than newer?
That's a good question. With new homes, brand new homes nobody's lived in, and there's so many different trades in and out of the house and often they're not communicating with each other maybe as much as they should be. So there's often a big learning curve and breaking in of the house with new houses. But old houses, it just depends. Some old houses have been through so many different owners and so many different owners that have tinkered in the house and done their own little, YouTube renovations and whatnot. So if you got years and years and all these different people doing all these different renovations in a house, it complicates things and increases the risk of issues for sure.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
As a realtor, when we do inspections on a house, like how should a buyer read the property inspection report? Like, what are the things to look out for?
Well, the good thing is, with Joel, for example, like we go through the report at the very end. We get to skim through all the issues, all the highlights and everything. So we do at that point kind of get to see all the detail, literally look at them, review them again. It was like, oh, hey, there was something wrong with the furnace. Can you show us? Joel would take us there, show what he had found, and we'd kind of see it all there. So we do get a pretty good summary, but then we get the report and then we just skim through it again. Joel will have like all the pictures, all the details of what was going on, thermal images of all the different rooms and sections that he would need to take. So it's pretty helpful. Like, it's really just a quick read for everybody. It's a long report, but we're able to kind of skim through and look at all the issues because they'll all be kind of like highlighted and standing out. So yeah, it makes it, Joel makes it pretty easy for us to, put together a list if we want to present something to the seller, for example, on, what do we want done before possession? Like, here's the leaks, let's get this done, or whatever it is.
Joel, the property inspection of a detached house versus an apartment or townhouse, how's that different?
Townhouses and houses are done essentially the same. I still like to look at the exterior of a townhouse, a condo townhouse, just to see, how the condo is taking care of the place. Is the dryer vent on the roof have a screen on that's blocked with lint? Like, there's a lot of things you can learn about looking at the outside of townhouses as well, just like a house. Apartment style, you'd be amazed at some of the issues we find with apartment styles.
Give us an example.
I ran a clothes washer. This would have been a couple years ago now. I just like this one because it's kind of funny. And when it was draining, it would literally, the tub would fill up. Water came out of the drain of the tub from the clothes washer
Oh, really?
and fill up
Oh,
the
jeez.
tub. Yeah, it was,
There's a little blockage somewhere.
blockage, and they just, hooked up the plumbing improperly. A lot of
that would make sense.
a lot of older apartments never had washer and dryer in their units to begin with. But when they were converted into condo apartments, people added washers and dryers, and often they were done improperly.
I see.
But
Just tied into some plumbing that went to the stack eventually.
yeah, exactly.
Let's say Joel did a inspection on a property, and you are the realtor on that one, and Joel gave you a long list of issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you deal with that? How do you go discuss that with your client and go back to seller? Like, what's the process there for you?
Well, there's a few variables. One's, market condition. Like, are we in a hot market, a low market? Like, say we're in a low or balanced market, I'd literally try to go back to the seller with as many things as I possibly could just to get it cleaned up, ready to go, because market conditions, they're in the buyer's favor more, than the seller. So you can ask for more things. But let's just say it's an extremely hot market. We won this bidding war. There was like 20 offers on this place. The seller's not going to be very cooperative when it comes to things, other than maybe some of the most important ones, like leaks, for example. The property could be in, worse condition come possession time. Say it's a longer possession, they got an active leak going on. You got to get that fixed immediately. So I go after all the leak type of things, all of the safety issues, like anything that was extremely important, because I find most realtors, most sellers are pretty, open to the idea of at least getting those fixed, because they don't want to mess up the sale or anything as well. I'll still try and ask for more. You always start a negotiation with lots of things, and then you already have things that you knew you would have cut off to begin with, just to, present something back, like you're giving, but, something back to the seller so they feel like they've, got something in return, right? It's just part of the strategy of the whole thing, just to make sure you get those important items addressed. The rest of the stuff might be like a couple $100 of a handyman coming in, tinkering, fixing, a few little deficiencies that could be there, but the thousands of dollars of work that needs to be done to make sure that the home is, livable when you guys get there and it's done properly. That's the key thing.
So when you negotiate these things, is it like you're negotiating always seller to fix those things, or sometimes price
Ideally,
can be negotiated further?
Maybe a mix. For the things that are important, in terms of like water leaks or things that need to be fixed immediately, safety hazards, like anything like that, I think that's important that they get addressed right away. So I do put it in that sense. But if there's other things that can be fixed later because they're not as important, then maybe I'll do a price adjustment for that part. It could be a hybrid of both, could be one or the other, but it just depends on those items. Those important items, you want to get addressed right away in any transaction. I don't think I've ever had a deal where I haven't been able to negotiate those things to be completed. Most people understand.
This is a question for both of you, actually. Joel, have you ever inspected a house where you found no issues at all? Like, it's perfect. Not a brand new house, but like maybe 5-10 years old, or any house. No issues. Or you, Dave, been part of a transaction where you don't have to go back to sellers or say, hey, we are okay with everything. Joel, you first.
Yeah, it's not common at all. There's always stuff. Always.
Yeah, I agree.
But
even if it's just maintenance items, that's the best case I've come across. Just maintenance stuff that needed to be done.
Yeah.
No leaks, no major problems with electrical
Like just
or
a
plumbing.
filter change?
Possibly like that, or maybe add some downspouts, that go away from the home, increase the grading on the house, like some of the common stuff that you'll see in homes, just some of the basics, and there'll always be a little thing here or there, but just more maintenance stuff is the best case scenario.
Yeah, I think one of the really big things is making sure coming into a home inspection that the buyers have realistic expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have found over the years, certain realtors really are good at setting up their buyers so that they know what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And some realtors don't do any pre-conversations with their buyers about the home inspection.
Yeah.
So I will have buyers come in and the littlest thing, a little drip at a tap or, minor little squeak in a door, just simple little things.
Mm-hmm.
They blow way out of proportion because they expect the house to be perfect. They expect everything to be absolutely perfect.
Right.
And that's a wrong expectation because there's
absolutely
there's always stuff. Things wear down. Things sometimes aren't quite installed just perfect, and there's just always stuff, especially a house built out of wood.
Yeah.
Like wood warps and twists and bows and sags and whatnot over time. And yeah, we're always learning too with building construction and with new products, how they respond, especially in our climate. And
for sure,
in Calgary, it's massive swings in temperature, and that creates a lot of problems.
well, that's attics, right?
This came across my desk the other day. A buyer thought the property inspection cost maybe thousands of dollars. So how much does a typical home inspection cost?
So there's a lot of variables. Some houses I'll go into, there's a bathroom off every bedroom, or there's a suite in the basement, or the house is, 100 plus years old. So, but the typical house starts at about $575 and goes up from there.
Okay.
House inspection. So, yeah, and just the more complicated, the more items, the bigger the house, the older the house, the price just kind of works up in a little schedule from there.
Do you recommend like any add-on inspections, like a radon or like Dave said, sewer scope inspection?
Yeah. With the sewer scope, I would definitely get one with houses older than like 30, 35 years old. Definitely recommend one for those. But depends on people's risk tolerance as well. Like if people just are really nervous and concerned about problems and they'd sleep better at night if they had the sewer scope done on a new house, then by all means get it done on a new house. But the chances of issues are substantially less.
Dave, Joel did mention that managing the expectations of buyer during inspection, before and after, what that means actually.
Well, it's just it's good to have a conversation with your buyer before the inspection. Tell them common things that come up. Just kind of go through your history of what you've seen. I've been through tons of inspections with Joel, so I've learned a lot as well. And even when I'm walking through the home doing the showing, it's kind of like, I got Joel in my mind. I'm like, what would Joel say? So, I'm going around saying all the different things. I'm not an inspector by any means, but it's just like, at least you can kind of point out things so that they have that expectation. So everything's sort of done, prepared, even as you're looking through the property. And then on top of that, it's just good to have a little conversation before the inspection, just so that you can, just review the potential things that could happen depending on the year of the home. Is it a renovated product? Is it a older house in the 70s? Okay, aluminum wiring. Is it 80s, 90s? Poly B plumbing. You look for all these little things and prepare them.
Yeah, and I get asked multiple times a week by the buyers. They'll say, so the sellers are going to fix like all of these things, right? Like we just give this list to the sellers and they'll fix all of these things, right? Like, no, that's not how it works. You better talk to your realtor.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
That brings to a very important question. Should buyer agent be present during property inspection?
Well, we have to be the buyer's agent. 100% has to be. We have to be at the property just to open, close, make sure we're there. So, I think it's said that we have to be at least in the premises or in the area of it. Doesn't mean we have to be inside watching every moment or whatever. We just have to be there for it. But I guess the other important thing is should the buyers be attending as well? I think it's a good idea. I always recommend to my buying clients, because you can learn about your own home, see things, in person as the inspection is happening. And I know Joel likes to, show things as he's working through the home.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of a home inspection is walking people through the house and just teaching them. about the house, teaching them about, frost on your windows, like how do you deal with that in the wintertime, teaching them about your humidifier and adjusting it throughout the year, your air conditioner when you're using it, how you're cleaning it, all your furnace filters and air exchange filters. Houses respond to the occupants of the house. So you can have a house, I can do an inspection on the house and it'll have like no moisture issues at all. And it might be, single person living there by themselves. They work a lot, they eat out, they don't, cook a lot. And then you have this huge family moving in the house, and I've got lots of people breathing, lots of people showering. Maybe they cook all the time. Maybe they have a lot of live plants that they're watering all the time, and the humidity is substantially different. So then now this house has a lot of potential for moisture issues. So that just has to be, they have to use the ventilation system properly to deal with that. They have to, regulate the humidifier properly. And it's a lot of how the house responds depends on the people in the house and their lifestyle.
Right.
That was actually my next question. What are the things a buyer should ask Joel before or during the inspection? But you covered it already.
Yeah. I love teaching people about their house because I see so many things in houses, and I'm just like, oh, if these people just knew these simple little things, they would have prevented these issues in the first place.
Yeah, well, they got usually humidity sort of like levels, depending, I guess, on the thermostat, those smart ones that you can have them on your phone. There's even some pretty cool devices out there. Air Things, that's one that I have myself. It was recommended by the radon company that I work with. It was just more I was just interested. So literally it monitors all sorts of things like your CO2 levels, humidity levels, radon levels, just all these little particle levels of different sizes. And just, it's interesting to know because you can find more about your home when you're living there. And then it could give you not necessarily recommendations, but at least it gives you an idea of where things are at and where you can improve.
Yeah. Is this an advertisement for Air Things?
No, it was just something I got last year just for myself. So yeah, no, it's good. It was recommended. I actually didn't see the recommendation until afterwards, but this radon company came to our brokerage.
Air Things is great.
Yeah, it seemed like when I did my research, that seemed to be one of the good ones as of today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did ask Joel about what's the weirdest thing he has seen during a property inspection. What's the weirdest thing you have seen?
Weird. Let's just think. Just trying to think of something that's like funny, but I don't know if I have any of those.
Have you ever let pet out during a property inspection?
I've had one dog escaped one time, but I was good at grabbing it right away. Yeah.
Especially, and cats can be sneaky.
Oh, that's true.
Like when I'm carrying in tools or checking the door or something, the cat will just zip by, and then you got the little bag of the catnip or whatever that is, shaking it, trying to lure the cat back in the house.
Yeah.
What's the biggest myth about property inspection you have heard, Joel?
The biggest myth, probably that you don't need a home inspection. That would be the biggest myth, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or that your friend that's a contractor, he can come do the home inspection.
Oh man,
so my background is quite extensive in foundations, so cribbing, concrete work, flat work, framing houses, and just all aspects, building garages, kitchens, suites, roofing, siding, doors, windows, heating, electrical, plumbing, everything basically except sheet metal work. And when I became an inspector, you look at things different. You think more about the systems and how the house is working as a whole. You think more, I guess, once you start seeing issues and seeing the implication of people installing things not quite right, you start learning how the house is telling you that it's not done right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at things completely different.
One piece of advice you always give clients before property inspection.
I think it comes back to that expectation thing. I kind of go over a high level of what you might find. some of the most common things that are found in home inspections to help set expectations a bit so that when they come up, you know, they're already talked about. I've even had, I basically just talk about all the solutions, the things that can be done, and, you know, talk about sellers. Everybody's different, so their expectation might be different too. But I just present the case, and it usually works out a majority of the time in our favor. So I think it's just, again, it's the advice just comes down to telling them what to expect.
Any last thing Joel wants to say to our listeners?
Inspections are critical. They're crucial. You'll learn, as long as your inspector, you know, takes you through and teaches you about the house, they can be invaluable. And just learning about, you know, air quality and looking for different issues and problems that come up and what that would look like. It's, you know, you're using all your senses. You're listening, you're smelling, you're looking, you're feeling stuff. It's an important aspect of owning a house, and if you've had it for a long time, it's a really good idea to get a checkup. Just see how that house is doing, and if there's some big issues behind the scenes that you're not aware of.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, I kind of remember a story of it was pre-inspection. It was more of a seller hiding the fact that they had a grow up, and the listing realtor had no clue of it. Wow. But I saw all the signs. It was all there. The areas, the venting.
What were the signs?
So electrical box was my first indication of it was tampered with, but they didn't really put it together back together properly. And I'm like, okay, there's sign one. Altered plumbing in weird areas that was happening, venting that was going places that it shouldn't, into towards the attic and stuff as well. It was just, and there was even these special room areas in the basement that were just all freshly painted, new drywall. Everything else was just clean and clear except for these spots. Problem was on the concrete, you could still see where there was little plant marks of circular pots and stuff like that. So they had a weird kind of setup. So it was all there, and it was pretty much it was going to be a definite grow up. And then I told the realtor, and it's like, oh man, thank God, thank you for telling me this. And then they took it off the market, and then it went into that whole, next phase of remediation and everything. I felt bad for the owner, but I'm like, man, that owner, I don't know if they're the one that did this or if they had picked up the house and, they're the unfortunate person that had a grow up house to deal with.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So just to, focus on the main point, always do the property inspection, right? Focus on more safety and structural issues with the house, more like leakages and something,
Yeah, just the big stuff for sure.
Just the big stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Joel, where we can reach you to do for an inspection?
Website would be inspectorjoel.com.
Okay.
Social media.
Yep.
I'm a little bit on Instagram, but
yep.
what my
we saw ya.
tag is, I'm not exactly sure.
No, Inspector Joel. It's an easy one to remember.
Joel, yes. Yeah. That sounds very serious as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Joel. Thank you for coming,
Yeah, my pleasure.
taking the time, and it's been a really good pleasure meeting you. And thank you for giving us all your inputs on the property inspection. Anything you want to add, Dave?
No, that's it. Yeah, no, it's a great overview, and thanks, Joel, for sharing everything. It's really helpful for everybody that's watching.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's it for this podcast, guys. I'd like to thank you again, Joel and Dave, and see you guys in the next podcast.